Giovanni non c'è.
No, oggi non è qui. Perché?
Devo portargli una cosa, ma non ce l'ho.
Ah, hai la coda di paglia.
No? Anzi, forse sì. Sono stanco e non voglio discutere.
Tranquillo, Giovanni non è mai arrabbiato.
Buongiorno Marco.
Ciao Martin, buongiorno. Come stai?
Buongiorno. Bene, grazie. E tu?
Tutto bene, tutto bene. Un po'. Sono come l'autunno,
Sì,
stanco.
ma porti un maglietta?
Porto una maglietta, sì.
Sì,
Oh, I have
ma
a t-shirt.
io una felpa.
Yeah, I guess the
Um,
benefits of living in Southern Europe. Yes.
yeah, that's it. Sono molto geloso.
You're very jealous. That makes sense. That makes sense. So what are we doing today, Martin? I forgot.
I'll be completely honest and say I'm not sure.
Well, the thing is, what we do today is everywhere. Is like magic. It's the verbs essere and avere. They're here and there, but they're everywhere. So it's hard to make a dialogue with you use essere and avere more often.
Right, well, let's crack on then.
Yes.
The first sentence is pretty straightforward. Giovanni non c'è. Giovanni is Giovanni not here? And
Mm-hmm.
so obviously c'è is from essere, as in to
Yes.
be, and it's the third person. We're talking about Giovanni, and he is not here.
Correct. And this is a very interesting phrase, right? This, well, for those that are not reading, C apostrophe E, c'è, as
Mm.
you correctly said. How would you translate this? Like, what is the most literal translation that you can think of?
Yeah, so Giovanni is not, and then it's the C
Right.
that's thrown because in English we would just say non-A, which
Good?
obviously doesn't really make much sense, does it? But so you can you explain why the C is there then?
Well, the C is an extremely long topic. It's the particle ci or che, because in Italian we kind of ping pong, but usually ci, ci, which
Hmm.
has a lot of meanings, but the closest in English is the word, in this case, is the word there. So the way I translate this is there is. So something like Giovanni isn't there or isn't here, I think is the closest that we can get.
Mm.
But as I was saying, we have in particular two words in Italian, ci and ne,
Mm.
which close to impossible, right, to translate in English. It kind of just works in a way that you don't have in English. It's not there in the language.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Um, it's really quite hard. Um, I always find when I'm learning a language that things need to be put in boxes for me to completely understand them. And I can say things and I can read things and understand it, but for me to have 100% understanding, I almost need to write it down and capture it and put it in a cage.
And it's funny because we have something similar in French for both chi and ne, but we have nothing
Mm.
similar in Spanish. So I
Really?
don't, yeah. Spanish does
Uh,
not have anything similar, whereas French has en, which is ne, and the y, right, which is the chi.
mm.
But yeah, I don't know. So I assume it's from Latin, but it kind of got lost, and yeah, it's not everywhere.
Okie dokie. Right, so no,
Hmm.
or not. Oggi non è qui perché. So no, obviously, not yes. Oggi non è qui. So
Hmm.
today he is not here. So again from essere,
Hmm.
and then perché, which is obviously why.
Right. And this is one of the few cases in which it could be a bit ambiguous. Oggi non è qui. Chi? Who is not here? But
Mm.
obviously, we're talking about Giovanni a sentence ago, so we can avoid saying Giovanni or lui and just go without the subject as we do in Italian often because it's clear. But if you want to be more specific, no, Giovanni oggi non è qui, or oggi Giovanni non è qui.
Hmm. Okay, and then devo that's it's this is one of the words that English people find really difficult to say with the
Right.
gli.
Yeah.
Devo portargli una cosa, ma non ce l'ho.
Okay.
You've thrown another che in there just to keep everyone on their toes. Devo from dovere, I have to
Mhm,
portargli. So this is obviously after the modal verb, portare is in the infinitive, but then you've tacked gli on the end of it to
mhm,
him. I have to bring him a thing.
mhm,
Interesting. Ma non ce l'ho. But um, now I'm seeing that this is because of the O at the end, to have from avere,
mhm,
and it's low, so it's it.
mhm.
I don't have it. Is
Very good. Yes.
that right?
So it's perfect. The translation is perfect. As you said, devo portargli, the portare infinitive because after devo, that gli is attached. We can do that with two tenses, which are, or two modes, which are infinitive and imperative. Portare is infinitive, so that works. That's a bit of a tricky way to say it, but I was looking for an easier way to say this sentence. I must take him, or I must carry him, or I must bring him, but I couldn't. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. You know, sometimes we hear things we don't understand and we have to make sense of it, but you translate it correctly. And then this chelo. Yes, we had the che before, there is, and now we have this chelo, which you translated correctly. Say again, how would you translate this sentence?
Oh, is from avere, which is the first person, so I have.
Hmm?
So I don't have whatever it is, but then the L apostrophe before the O, the pronoun, which is le, I'm guessing, but I suppose it could be la, and
La.
you've shown by taking the apostrophe off.
Right.
Oh, it's the cosa, isn't it? It's the cosa, which is the la. Is that
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you're replacing cosa, una cosa with la, but because la before the h won't work, you take it. Wow, there's so much going on. You're packing it in today, aren't
I
you?
am. Yeah, today we're taking no prisoner here. But you said it perfect. And oh, when you're a kid and you trade, I don't know, you call them stickers, like football stickers
Yeah,
or
yeah, they're Italian, aren't they? Panini.
panini, for example. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
This is the phrase you say when you have it, you know, and then someone is showing you and you say ce l'ho, ce l'ho, ce l'ho, ce l'ho. I have it, I have it, I have it.
Ah,
It's a very used when you're trading stickers. So if you like to collect panini, then you
which
should
I've
learn this
only just
phrase.
realized means sandwiches.
It does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I've
I think
never
it was the
even.
family name of the founder, but I don't know for sure. I'm making this up.
Right. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
So next sentence then. Hai la coda di paglia.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this is, yeah. I mean, I've been to Siena. I'm guessing it's nothing to do with that Paglia, and it's a different spelling. Hai la coda di Paglia. So this is obviously your idiom that you've thrown in here.
Hmm.
Um, and la coda, I can only think of that as being a queue or a
Yes, but
line.
also the tail. In this case, it's the tail.
Okay. You have. I is from avere, so it's
Hmm.
you have. You have the tail of, I don't know. No idea what a Paglia is.
I think you call it straw. It's what it's the like dried grass.
You've got a straw tail.
Yes.
Okay. Quite a bizarre one.
It is a bizarre one, but I think it's a very cute one. It means to have a guilty conscience.
Oh.
Yeah, because that will the I think it was like some. I actually looked it up because for once I did my homework, and the Wikipedia page is only in Italian, so I assume it's an Italian thing. It does not translate, but it was a fairy tale of sorts where um, there was a fox that didn't have a tail, and they attached a straw tail to it. And then when the farmers found out, so to avoid that the fox would eat the chicken, they would just set fire on things because the fox was scared that the tail would catch fire. So she would avoid the eating the chicken. So to have a straw tail or coda di paglia means to like avoid dangers before they arise because you have a guilty conscience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get myself a book on idioms because they're my
It's a
favorite.
very used one. So it's something you will hear often uh, if you speak with someone that is 75 plus years old. No, I'm joking. No, I actually use it quite a lot. For example, I don't use a lot of idioms.
Okay, moving on. No, Ansi. I like the word Ansi
Hmm.
because it can mean about 784 different things.
Yes.
Um, Anzi, forse sì,
Mhm,
and then we've got a separate statement coming up here. Sono stanco e non voglio discutere. Well,
mhm.
that's easy. Sono stanco. Sono, obviously, again, is from essere, and
Yes.
it's one of those words that you can tack onto essere to make it mean something more. So sono stanco, I know, means I'm tired.
Mhm.
E non voglio discutere, I don't want to discuss. But the beginning part, anzi, forse sì, perhaps yes.
Mhm.
Anzi here is one of those words that it can mean any way, I guess, there.
Usually, Ansi, you're right, it can mean a few different things, but you're kind of correcting yourself or someone else. But usually yourself,
Mm.
like you're saying, oh, wait, it's kind of the opposite of what you just said. So here it's saying, no, well, maybe yes. So it's kind of you
Mm.
changing your mind, so to speak.
All right, so anzi, it's going with the forse sì very well, then, isn't it? Anzi, forse sì,
Correct.
maybe yes.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, right, very good. And then tranquillo, calm down. I guess you're
Sì,
saying there.
tranquillo.
Tranquillo, sorry,
Hmm.
yeah. Giovanni non è mai arrabbiato. I love
Hmm.
arrabbiato. I think it's a great word.
Yes.
He's no longer, because mai's in there at the other side of the verb. So whenever you get non and mai, it means no longer or never.
I
So
think you're confusing it with più.
okay,
Non è più arrabbiato is no longer
no longer. Non in mai is never.
correct. He's never angry. Like oh, he's
Right.
always happy. Something.
All right.
Yes,
So non in mai arrabbiato is yeah, he's never angry.
yes. Arrabbiato, as you correctly said, angry or mad. And we also have a very very popular pasta. So under that name.
Mm.
So it's a very important word.
Yeah, it's one of those pastas that you in Italy think is picante, and it's really not.
Well, I guess you're okay. So we can open a very big parenthesis of spicy food in Italy. We have areas in which we eat spicy, but it's not popular. Like it's not as spicy as in other countries. But if you go to like Calabria, they
Hmm.
know what they're talking about. They're not kidding around. Good.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about these two bad boys, essere and avere. And I always say you can't forget any verb when you learn Italian. You do not forget essere and avere.
Mm.
There's too important. Why would you? Why do you think I say that? Why do you think they're important? In your opinion, Martin, as a learner, when do you encounter them besides saying I have and I am? Which okay.
Well, I guess the most important part is that if you're wanting to conjugate any verbs that
Yes.
aren't in the present tense, you're probably going to run into them. Certainly in the past tense, you're going to need them, and in
Yes.
the trapasso, you're going to need them, and yeah, they're all over the place, aren't they?
Right. Yes. And everything that we call tempi composti, so composite tenses,
Mm.
which is about half, or without about, it's just exactly half of the tenses that we have. We need usually avere and sometimes essere to make all these tenses. Yeah, and
Yeah.
in the case of essere in particular, also used for the passive. So, and always make the example the difference between io ho mangiato, I have eaten, and io sono mangiato, which is someone else is eating me, which is big difference.
Mm.
And it's just one word that changes. It's the same as in English, right? I have eaten, I am eaten. It's kind of the same idea, verb to have
Hmm.
versus the verb to be.
Mm. Okay, let's go for it then. Which one do you want to do first?
I like Avere better. Avere is I don't know, it's more interesting.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, so you wanna do it?
Yeah, okay. So, well, see, I'm doing it right. Okay, so io ho
Uh-huh.
H-O,
Uh-huh.
tu hai H-A-I, lui, lei, è, which is just the E, but it has an accent.
I think you're confusing
Oh,
them
sorry,
here.
I'm into essere.
Yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
yeah.
Lui and lei, very good, yeah. A,
Okay.
H-A.
Uh-huh.
Then we've got noi abbiamo,
See?
voi avete,
Uh-huh.
and loro hanno, again with a H.
Very good, very good. And obviously Martin did that on purpose so that everybody now remembers the lui lei form of avere.
Absolutely. That's
Yes,
exactly why I did it. Yeah.
yes, yes. But no, you perfectly right. Two things to say about how we spell them, which is we put an H before, but we don't hear it. And so, as Martin said, io ho, tu hai, lui ha. Then noi abbiamo without H, voi avete without H, loro hanno with an H. But we don't hear it, and the only reason we put it there is to make it different from words that are pronounced the same but do not they mean different things. So just when we write to distinguish words, we just put an H before so that we know it's the verb avere and not or, for example, which would be o without the H. So it's purely for spelling reasons, but we don't hear H, we don't pronounce H unless it's after C or G in Italian.
Very good. So on to essere,
Mm-hmm.
which I gave a bit of a spoiler for. Io sono,
Sì.
tu sei,
Mm-hmm.
and then the lui and lei è
Good.
with the accent. Then you get noi siamo,
Mm-hmm.
voi siete, and then bizarrely you go back to loro sono.
Yes.
So you get two sonos either end of it, bookmarking it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Honestly, I will assume that it's the Romans, which in this case I think it's a fair guess because they came up with the verb. So
But there are no other verbs that have the first person singular and the third person plural as the same verb conjugation. It's bizarre, isn't it?
it is. No, I think you're right. It's the only case in which that happens. But I think this brings a very interesting point up, these two verbs, um, which is how we learn irregular verbs. Because these are the first two irregular verbs that we should encounter, at least. And how do you learn irregular verbs, Martin, as a learner? How do you kind of go about, say you find a verb you don't know, it's irregular, and how do you try to memorize it?
I always find that the best way to learn anything is not to learn it. It's just to be so relaxed about how you accept it. And so I always used to say to kids when I was teaching that if you're not happy, if you don't come to school happy and you're not enjoying life, you're not going to take anything in. And you've got to be receptive to it, haven't you? If you're open and receptive, you can learn anything you want.
Right.
But if you're putting walls up, then there's no chance in. If you see like a verb and you think, "Oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to remember that," well, then you won't, will you?
I agree with that approach, and in general, but
Yeah, I think
nonetheless, I think
one thing that you do very well. Sorry to interrupt. Is
no,
you point out patterns in things, and
that's where I
and
was
I
going.
think
Yeah.
that whenever you can see a pattern or like you just pointed out as well, when you make a mistake and you have to correct it, that is when something in your head, a door opens or something registers, and it's just there then, and
Yeah.
then it's just a case of you accessing it.
This is the way I learn. I'm a very structured learner. So to learn something, I need to see it. And when I see an irregular verb and I try to find a pattern that makes sense to me, and then I can remember it. And then even across verbs, I will try to connect them. So if you take, for example, in Italian, the verb avere looks awfully similar to the verb dovere when you conjugate the present tense. Noi
Mm.
abbiamo, noi dobbiamo, voi avete, voi dovete. This is kind of very similar pattern. So I would, if I were learning Italian, which I'm not, I would group them and group another few verbs with it that make the same, follow the same logic. This is the way I learn. So the way I usually recommend to start learning. Now, when you know yourself, you can fix it.
Yeah, I think sometimes without trying, you see those patterns, don't you?
And I always say, whenever someone tells me a pattern, like I sometimes have one-to-one classes, right? It's not common anymore, but I still do. And someone will say, "Oh, I noticed that this is like that," and I go, "No, but okay, if that helps you, that this is remember it." Or they will say,
Yeah.
"Oh, this word sounds like this other word in Arabic. Awesome. I don't care, use that. Whatever you can use to kind of remind of something else, to kind of remember something else, just go for it. I don't care if it's right or not right."
It's like these people that can tell you every single card in order in a pack of cards, isn't it? And
Right.
the way they do it is that they make up stories in their heads, don't they? It's not that they're remembering the order of the cards; it's the way that they unlock that memory, isn't it? And you, everybody has probably got different ways of doing it
Exactly.
that applies to them and things that make them learn and make them happy. And I guess you've got to find your sweet spot, haven't you?
No, I completely agree. So whatever works for you, just use it. I think that the best way is to be shown these patterns, and then you try to work with it and see if you can. So let's take the verb avere, because the verb essere is there is no pattern. It's completely insane. It's irregular. Just learn bit by bit. Chant it as your mom used to do in school. That's the only way. But the verb avere is a bit more interesting because there is a clear pattern, in my opinion. Uh, so if you were studying the verb avere and trying to find a pattern, Martin, what would you say a good way to split it could be?
Well, there are the words or the conjugated parts that start with the H
Hmm.
and the two that don't.
Correct. I agree
And
completely.
generally, I find in most Italian irregular verbs, they are the two that go off by themselves, and then it comes back again for the
Hmm.
third person plural.
Yes, it's very common. Noi and voi tend to be if it's an irregular verb, noi and voi tend to be less regular often, as in this case, right? Because you have io, tu, lui, and then loro. It almost is like if it was the verb hare, right? Are. Because io ho, tu
Mm,
hai, lui ha, loro hanno. It's almost like it drops a syllable. And then you have these abbiamo and avete. Well, yeah, once you have a double B and once you have a V, but that's obviously just phonetic. It does not really matter. Also, when you pronounce it, it's not very evident. But they're much more regular, right? Because voi avete is perfectly regular. Avere, take out RE, add TE. That's the way it's supposed to be. Abbiamo,
that's
also
very true.
almost regular.
Mm,
Yeah.
very true. And I was thinking about it a different way, but you are correct actually there.
So,
You see, I kind of think of a verb conjugation as it's almost like a child growing up.
okay.
And so it starts with a young baby. That's me, I. That's, and then when you get to kind of the noi and the voice, it's like the teenagers, and they're just going off and they're doing
Ah,
whatever they want to do. And then by the end, they've come back again, and they've come back to the family. You
that's a
like that?
very it's a very wholesome way to study Italian. But as I was saying, if this is the way in your brain you can visualize things, go for it. Anything it is, if it helps you to memorize and to be happy, as you were saying, to take it more lightly, whatever. It works. It's good.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. So if we try to use these verbs now to say a few simple things, essere
hmm
and avere, what are some simple expressions that you can think of?
Um, depends what you mean by simple. I mean, I guess if you want to say what your name is, that's quite a simple thing, isn't it? You would say sono, I am.
Okay, so
So,
sono Martin, you would
sono
say. I would say
Martin.
sono Marco.
Sì. Sono Martin, say Marco,
Hmm.
and and then you can point at the cat and say, "Hey, biscotto," and
Great.
um, that's that would be a good way of, I guess, using those. And then your age
Hmm.
by using avere.
Yeah, sono stanco is an exception. Most other ones would be ho, right? Ho fame, ho
Mm.
sete, ho sonno. I have
Lo
sleep,
sonno.
so to speak.
Mm.
And many more, I'm sure, that I cannot think of right now.
Ho voglia di.
Ho voglia di, very good. I want to do something. Ho bisogno di, I have the need
Mm.
to do something or have something.
Ho
Uh,
paura di.
ho paura di, great. I'm afraid of. You will notice that in Italian we use the verb avere more than you do in English. Many things that you would say to be in English, you have in Italian. I don't know why, but just cultural difference, I guess.
Mm.
Um, so many phrases like this. The verb essere is not super used, but you can say, for example, sono in Italia. I am in Italy. Uh, sono a casa. I'm at home.
Mm.
Um, say sono felice. I'm happy. Many small phrases that we can, and then obviously, as we were saying, all composite tenses with both avere and essere, which we're not going to get into today, but as you progress with your Italian, you add more and more instances in which you want to use essere and avere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I think that's yeah,
I think that
that
about does. Good.
wraps it up. Yeah, man.
So use essere, use avere, and be happy when you learn Italian. That's what we learned today.
That's absolutely right. Be happy when you learn Italian. You know, the reason you're here, the reason you're listening to this, the reason you're learning it is because you enjoy it. And as long as you keep enjoying it, then you'll keep taking things in. And it's like anything in life. If it ever becomes like you think, oh no, I've got to learn some Italian today, then don't, because you're probably doing yourself more harm
Yeah.
than good, and you know maybe you just need a day off from doing it, and then tomorrow you'll be like, oh, I've not done any Italian, and then it'll all flood in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I don't know what to add. It was that was beautiful, Martin. I don't know what to add. Okay.
Brilliant.
So,
Okay,
grazie Martin, grazie mille
grazie a te.
e grazie a tutti. E ci
Mm,
vediamo la settimana prossima. So, ci sentiamo. You'll hear from us next week.
absolutely. Ok, grazie e buon fin de settimana.
Well, or buona settimana or buona whatever day
No,
you're listening
yeah,
this on.
whatever day. Yeah, just enjoy your day.
Yeah, just have
Buona
fun.
giornata. Buona giornata. Enjoy life.
It's sunny out. Well, it's not. It's raining over there. It's not sunny here. But whatever. Have fun.
Ciao.
Ciao ciao.